Hi, my name's Matt. My name's Chris. My name's Dominic, and we're in a band called Muse.
In the mid-80s, Matthew Bellamy from Cambridge, Dominic Howard from Stockport and Chris Wolstenholme from York all moved to a small seaside town called Teignmouth in Devon. They first met each other at Teignmouth Community College and soon after became close friends. After many years playing in various bands, Matt, Dom and Chris finally came together in 1993 to form the group Rocket Baby Dolls. The sleepy seaside town of Teignmouth would seem an unlikely place for the trio to spring from. However, the lack of nightlife, music scene or excitement made them even more determined to succeed.
But when you're sort of between the age of 13 and 18, there's just nothing to do there. There's no nightlife at all. So yeah, we just started this band to sort of kill the boredom, really.
Especially being in a band, well, because there's no sort of music scene going on down there. So I mean, you get all these cities, London, Manchester, and Wales, Cardiff and stuff. You've got all big bands coming out, big scenes going on, but there's nothing going on down there. So, which was good for us because it kept us completely secluded from any other scene and gave us a chance to develop our own thing.
Teignmouth, it's been famously described as God's waiting room because it's a bit of a pensioner's paradise.
Devon. What's Devon known for? It's cream cheese, isn't it? Clotted cream, the old Frisian cow.
Certainly for teenagers, I don't think it would be a place to hang out and party with your mates.
Nothing comes from the southwest except cider. You know, nothing famous comes out of it.
The sort of place you go to retire or die.
So to have like what is an international huge band that have many years still ahead of them, and they're not just commercially successful, they're very sort of credibly successful as well. I think that, you know, that's something that people are probably pretty proud of.
I'd say they're all very genuine people, like, you know, very shrewd, very aware of what's going on around them. The way they were brought up, the way they met, you know, and possibly their surroundings being such a small place, like, you know, caused them to have a drive to, you know, I suppose, get together and do something.
More oxygen, more oxygen.
This explosive band, formed by teenage friends, first took off when they entered a local Battle of the Bands competition at Teignmouth's Broadmeadow Sports Centre. Winning the competition put them on the road to fame, and they haven't looked back since.
I worked for Broadmeadow Sports Centre and we were looking to put something on for young people in Teignmouth and the surrounding areas. Had to pick a time of the year that was quiet so that the centre could be taken over totally by the bands, which was February, and that's how it got put together. We decided we'd give kids a chance, give them a prize of a recording studio session and hopefully set them on the way to whatever they hope to do.
Battle of the Bands, I think they paid their tenner to enter. They slapped face paint all over themselves. Basically just took the piss out of all the other bands that were there.
There was quite a few in Teignmouth and the surrounding areas, Dawlish and Ashburton. There were quite a few bands there. So there was plenty of people entering it. I think there were 10 in the first one. There was just one round. They came on stage and they did a song and they were judged by a group of judges and given a score, and at the end of all the bands playing, they were all told where they'd finished and what they'd won and all the rest of it. And then a band would play in the evening that was already a sort of a band on the circuit. So gave them a taste of things to come.
I think Matt got loads of his college mates to leap up on stage. So there was a great ruckus at the end of the gig. Well, they wanted to win, and they did win.
The Rocket Baby Dolls' stage invasion and their aggressive performance made other bands question their winning of the competition.
There was a little bit of controversy actually. There were certain bands that didn't think they should have won, and we had a couple of complaints come back to the Sports Centre saying that they shouldn't have won, and I had to say, look, it's nothing to do with the Sports Centre. They've been judged by a panel of judges to be the best band, but I think it's just sour grapes from other band members.
Knowing what we know now, what would you have given to have been at that gig? Quite a lot, I'll wager.
They went on to, obviously, to Coombs Head and had a recording contract or recording session up there with Coombs Head, and then I think they went on and got another recording session with Coombs Head after that, and then obviously they got in touch with this Phil Courtholes, who I believe sort of managed them for a while and got them gigs like at the Cavern in Exeter and various places.
After winning the Battle of the Bands, they changed their name to Muse and made the move to Exeter. June 1994, Matt and Dom enrolled in Exeter College and studied 3 A-levels, while Chris, being younger, still had another year of school to go. Matt moved into a flat above one of 2 pawn shops in Exeter whilst cleaning out toilets at a local campsite. Chris worked in a guitar shop in Torquay, and Dom helped dress students for graduation ceremonies. Manson Guitar Shop is where Matt first bought his guitars, and still has them handmade now by owner Hugh Manson himself. Meanwhile, the band started to make demos. These soon proved to be successful, and in October 1994, Muse gained a regular slot at the most successful club in Exeter, the Cavern.
Well, when I was working in Exeter, I was aware of them right from sort of the early days, so when they used to perform in the Cavern, and obviously because they were an up-and-coming local band, we used to feature them in the paper I was working for there. I was working for the Express and Echo newspaper in Exeter, and we used to feature them in that paper and charted their sort of rise. I mean, they were also kind of alongside Coldplay, which were getting a lot of attention as well because they're from the same area. Well, Chris Martin is, but Muse were always sort of in the background.
In 1995, after playing regular slots at the Cavern, Muse managed to get their first London gigs, bagging a slot at the infamous Bull and Gate pub. The venue was very well known for up-and-coming bands making that break into the London scene.
The early gigs, I think it was the Bull and Gate where I first saw them. And in those days you wouldn't recognise them if you were standing 2 feet from them. They looked a lot different, and actually they sounded a great deal different. They've changed a great deal. I personally thought the gig was a bit rubbish. I thought it was a bit ropey. But even then, I could tell they had that hunger. They really wanted this.
Shortly after, Dennis Smith, owner of Sawmill Studios, first spotted the band at the Barclay Centre in Camborne. Muse impressed him so much that he offered them encouragement, experience, and more importantly, free studio time. A few years later, after the release of a number of EPs, Muse's dream came true. On December the 23rd, 1998, they received a record contract with Maverick, owned by pop star Madonna and funded by one of the largest global music companies, Warner Music. But the deal was only for the US. 5 years on from their first gig, things were really happening for Muse. The next step of the journey was the release of the Muscle Museum EP in January 1999. It went straight in at number 3 in the NME Indie Singles chart. The EP included the songs Sober and Uno.
I first heard of Muse back in 1999. I was writing a music fanzine called Cold Platform, and I got sent their first single, Uno, and I put it on and I listened to it and I thought, this is a bit different. And so I just started looking into them from there.
And it was clear that these guys were sounding a lot different in the studio to their live performance. what was coming through was some attention to detail and the real talent. They were very ambitious in the studio, and that was reflected in the sound.
I mean, they had done gigs before, and they'd released an EP, Muscle Museum, before I heard of them, but from getting that single, I've pretty much followed them through to where they are today.
Uno was to become their